Greetings, TVR2A. This is your Lab 2. This is a video walkthrough using a Mac computer. And the purpose of this lab is to demonstrate how to import audio that you've downloaded from the internet or Canvas into a new Pro Tools session. And I'm using Pro Tools Intro. That's the free version of Pro Tools which you downloaded for the last lab. So what has already happened is I've already went to Canvas and I've already downloaded the file, which I see inside of the Canvas modules. You see the page there, and there's a downloader link, and I downloaded it to my desktop, and this is the file that I got, musicbedgroove.wave. I'm just dragging it off so it's not in the way, but I saved it to the desktop, and I really only did that so that I have easy access to it. Ideally, I would be saving this into a directory dedicated to all of my Pro Tools work. So for example, a folder inside of the Documents directory that has my name and also has the word projects, something like this, and so it can always go there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and launch Pro Tools. Remember, Pro Tools is that little purpley icon. I'm going to go ahead and single click on it and go ahead and launch it. Alright, Pro Tools Intro's launching. Always be patient. It does take a minute or so for all of this to get launched. And again, I'm using my laptop. I'm not using an audio interface, so I'm using everything that's built into the laptop. But this is our first screen that allows us to create that new session. So remember, on the left-hand column, you've got these different options. We always want to choose new anytime we're starting from scratch. And the tab up here says session, and here it says give it a name. Okay, so for this example, this is just the music bed, and this is just how to import it in. So in essence, I'm just going to call this music bed import, just so I can remind myself what I'm looking at when I look at all these files. It does say where it's going to be stored. Currently, local storage. It says prompt for location. Now yours might say, it already might have a directory like your documents, which is fine too. I tend to like to be able to be in charge of where all of my files are going, so it's going to ask me another question for where I actually want it to go. So here it just says prompt for location, and I got that by clicking on the little drop down arrow, and in the next step it's going to ask me to go ahead and create that location. So prompt for location, the file type is always WAV, it's always 16-bit, sample rate's always 44.1, and the IO settings are always going to be stereo mix. And again, if you need to change any of those, just click the little drop down, and that will allow you to choose from the preset that it already has. Also, I checked the box for interleave right here. This just tells Pro Tools anytime it encounters a stereo audio file, it's going to treat it as if it was one combined file versus treating it as two separate files, meaning a left side and a right side. Really, this is more of a thing for your operating system to work certain ways. So interleaved is always what I pick. I leave this blank, and then if I can get all, I don't know if I can get this, I can't quite get the bottom of this to show. I'll drag my window down just a little bit. You can see down here, I'm going to click create right here. Okay, and when I click create, it's going to ask me where I want to place it. Now what I'll do here is if this shows up small like this on the Apple or on the Mac, always expand it with that little drop down arrow. So I'll go ahead and do that first, and then I'll come over to my left hand column, and you see I have desktop document. I want to go to my documents, and then inside of my documents I've already created a folder. It says G Dunbar Projects TVR2A. So I've already created that folder. If you want to create yours now, you can click on new folder and you'll create it right here in this directory. But I'm just going to single click on that folder, and then in that folder, which is where all my projects are going to live, that's where I want to save this, and it's called Music Bed Import. So as long as I don't change the name here and I don't make any other sorts of changes, I just have this folder highlighted. This session that I'm about to create will show up right here, and it's going to show up as its own new folder. So go ahead and click Save. All right, I'm going to drag my window back up here, just so you can see everything that I see. Then I'm just going to shrink some of these windows down so I can get everything to fit. And then I have this other box back here too. Nice. All right, so by default, now again, my computer may be different than yours. By default, it already added a track in here, which I don't want. So it added a click track. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on the name of the click one, and I'm going to delete it. So it's gone. A couple other things I want to tidy up here is there's a column here on the left hand side on my computer. It says tracks and groups. And I'm going to hide that. And the way I'm going to hide it is this little tiny icon right here with the arrow pointing to the left. I'm going to click it, and it's going to go ahead and remove that column from that side. All right, so now it's starting to give me a little more space to work with. Now another few things I'm going to go ahead and do is here where it says bars and beats, I'm going to drop that down, and I'm going to uncheck the stuff I don't need and check the stuff that I do need, which is minutes and seconds. Okay, so I want minutes and seconds. I don't want any of this other stuff. So I just single clicked on it. All right, now I'm also going to go to my counter, which is right here, and it says 11000. That's bars and beats. I want that to be minutes and seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this down and click right there as well. Now by doing that, that's going to allow me to revisit over here. And now I can get rid of bars and beats. So now at the top of my timeline, I'm just seeing seconds. And currently I'm seeing every 10 seconds. You can see it says 20, 30, 40, etc. But there's no tracks. All right. Now before I do anything else, I would always want to go up to my setup menu at the top and go to the second choice that says Playback Engine. And in here, what I'm trying to determine is what is the audio, like where's it going to come from, for example. And in here, I always need to drop this down, and your list will be different. But what I'm looking for is MacBook Pro speakers. So MacBook Pro speakers, by doing that, is going to allow me to hear the session come through the speakers on my laptop. Okay, so let me give it a second because it does have to reboot. I'm going to choose no to this. And now I'm here. See, it looks exactly the same. Just now if I go to setup and choose Playback Engine, I'll see it says MacBook Pro speakers right here. Okay, and you'll need to bounce back and forth between the Playback Engine because there'll be times where you need to record something, and when you do that, you'll have to set that microphone up like this. Okay, but for now, we just need to be able to play back audio, so that's all I need. Okay, a couple very quick things. Upper left-hand corner, we will see our 4 edit modes. Okay, the 4 edit modes is how things will react inside of Pro Tools, how the tools will function. And in general, we'll be using Slip for this lab. Slip is thought of as being freehand. So wherever I move my mouse, it's going to completely track with the mouse. Some of the other options like Grid would force the mouse to move only by increments of a certain grid line. And then Shuffle doesn't allow me to move things freely at all. It only allows me to reorder clips that are already in the session. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in the coming labs. But for now, just know that you're going to be using Slip mode. So go ahead and click on Slip. Also shortcuts, F1, F2, F3, F4. We'll go through those 4 different modes. Depending on your Mac, sometimes the Mac, the operating system takes over those function keys and won't let you use them. So in general, those are supposed to be shortcuts for Pro Tools. And then over here are our edit tools. You'll see it starts with the magnifying glass, which is the zoomer. And then you have a trimmer tool. You've got a selector tool. And you have the grabber tool. You also have a scrubber tool. Looks like a speaker. And then you have a pencil tool. The three that are already activated are trimmer, selector, grabber. Those are the ones we use the most. And Pro Tools, even for that reason, has created this thing called the Smart Tool. Now, the Smart Tool is when all three of those go active. Right now, I just have the trimmer, which means if I want to trim something, I can do it. But if I wanted to select something, I could not do it. And if I wanted to move it, I couldn't do it. So I would have to go here and change the mode, and then I could go move my clip as needed. But Pro Tools has decided if you go ahead and click this little band on top of those three tools, that it will automatically go into Smart Tool mode. And then based on the position of your cursor, it will change from whichever tool it assumes you're trying to use. So it's based on the location of your cursor. It's kind of handy. So I would go ahead and start with it, see how you like it. You can always go out of it simply by clicking on the tool. Okay, other things, you're looking at a counter here. You might see something with the grid. You might see stuff that says pre-roll. Anything else in here you might see? It's hard for me to navigate. Let me just make this bigger here. Right, so there's so many things that it can show me. I'm going to go ahead and drag and just in case you can see all of this as well on your end. I want to make sure that I get rid of a bunch of these things that we don't need. All right, for one of them is it's activated the click, the metronome. I want to turn that off because we don't need it. And then all of this other stuff doesn't really matter. We just want to make sure we don't hear a click. This little drop down arrow upper right hand corner does let you turn some of those things off. So for example, we can get rid of the MIDI controls. We could get rid of the quantized controls. We could get rid of anything else. MIDI input display. I guess we'll leave. We could get rid of the expanded transport. I don't really think we need it, so I would go ahead and get rid of it too. So that should give you a little more space. So let me see if that's going to let me resize that down to where I want it. I'm going to drag this back over. It just about did. All I'm losing is a little bit of output meters, but I don't use those anyway. I only use those on the mixer. Okay, so for now, this is pretty good. These are the tools you'll need, and this is your playback, etc. All right. Also, there is our first shortcut, which is the Command and equals key, and that's the equals key, also the plus key. But if you hit that, it's a toggle back and forth between your edit window, which is here, and your mixer window, which is here. And the mixer window will have all your faders as we start to add tracks. So that's your first shortcut that you've learned. Last thing I think I want to change is I don't like this space here, so I'm going to go ahead and click this drop down. And I don't need to see the inserts, I don't need to see the sends, and I don't need to see marker controls. So this is better too. Again, I'm always on a small computer screen, you're always trying to get as much space as you can so you don't have to scroll around. So I just hid all those things from view. All right, so now all I see checked is track color, and then here all I see checked is minutes and seconds. I got my counter here, I'm in slip mode, and I have Smart Tool activated. Let's go ahead and bring in the audio that you've downloaded now. So you've already downloaded that file, it's on probably your desktop, and now you're going to bring it in. You're going to go through the file menu at the top. You're going to click towards the bottom where it says import, and you're going to choose import audio. Once you've chosen import audio, let's see, this is a nice big screen. Every once in a while it comes up tiny, and if it does, just make sure you enlarge it with the little tiny drop down. All right, my screen is actually so big now that it's off the window even, so I don't know if I can. Let me try to fit all this on. Let's see if I can do it here. All right, I need to go locate here on the left column. Here I can see that if I go to my desktop, that's the file I'm looking for, musicbedgroove.wave. And all it takes is a single click. And when you single click, you'll see down here in the left hand side, it says clips in current file, music bed groove, which is what I want. It says it's about a minute long. And then here you have these 4 buttons, and what you want to do is click the word copy. And when you click copy, it's going to take that WAV file and it's going to import it as a new file, meaning it's going to go ahead and copy the file itself and put it into Pro Tools, so there's two of these files then floating around. You still have the one on the desktop, but now you're going to have another one inside of the Pro Tools audio files folder. One reason I'm telling you that is if you were to click the word add, it would not make a copy of the file. Instead, it would just place a location to it, and then it always has to remain in that same location in order for you to run. So you don't want that. So always the word copy, so that it generates a brand new audio file, and it will put that audio file into your session for you. And then if you delete it off of the desktop, there's no fear that you're going to lose the file from Pro Tools. All right, so I've clicked copy. It now says clips to import, and now I just have to click right hand corner open. Once I click open, it's going to ask me where do you actually want to store that file, and all you do is click open a second time. So don't do anything in here, don't click anywhere. It's already going to go into the audio files folder, which is part of this new session that I've created. So do not click off or move anything around. All you do is click open. I usually tell students, think of this as you're clicking open twice in a row. So you did the first one, now I'm doing the second one. Now it's going to ask me where do I want to put it. Okay, I have new track or clips. I'm going to put it onto a new track. Go ahead and click OK. It now puts it into Pro Tools. You'll see there's 2 squiggly lines, right? That shows you that it's a stereo audio file, left side and a right side. And I like to always resize this, make it a little bit bigger so I can see it. So I drag the bottom of the track right here. You'll see it gets a double-headed arrow up and down. So it's your resizer tool. You can click and enlarge it. And then if I want to zoom in a little bit more so that it's not so tight, I can use the shortcut letter T. Again, I'm just using the letter T, and each time I click it, it zooms in. And I'm going to zoom in until I see seconds right here where it says 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you zoomed in too close, it'll start say decimals. Letter R is a zoom out. So you have 2 shortcuts there. You have a T, which is to zoom in, R, which is to zoom out. I'm just trying to zoom into the seconds here at the top. Now, side note, if you're hitting T and R and you're not having any success with the shortcut, always verify up here in the upper right hand corner there's a AZ, and it needs to be gold or goldenrod, whatever color you want to call that. It cannot be gray. So if it's grayed out, then none of your shortcuts will work. But if it's yellowish, now all of the shortcuts will work, all the keys. So just remember that if you're trying to do things and none of those keys are working, chances are you accidentally clicked off of that little keyboard focus. So just make sure that it is orange or yellow. All right, now the return key will go to the very beginning of my session, and now my space bar will play it. Okay, and that means I have successfully imported this audio into a brand new Pro Tools. This will be a music bed that we'll be using for the upcoming assignment, which is to create your station ID. So you'll be recording your voice in the next lab and placing it in addition to this track, and then you'll be doing a little bit of automation and stuff. All right. I think last minute things before we close out here would be, notice I am dragging back and forth. That's a scroll, the bottom. Also at this point, if you do the command equals, it does get me to my mixer, which now shows me that I have a fader, and I can turn up and turn down the volume with that fader. I can also mute it with letter M. I could solo it so that's all I hear with S. I could even record on top of it, although I wouldn't do that since it's already in. I have the name here. You can always rename it if you wanted to get rid of like the word groove, like maybe you just want music bed. You can click OK, and now that'll shorten that name down. And anywhere I place my cursor, as long as I'm in Smart Tool, if I place it towards the top of this audio clip, notice it looks like a I-beam or a cursor. If I click it once, the cursor now flashes. And now when I hit the space bar, it plays from that location. The space bar is a shortcut for play. It's also a shortcut for stop. So as long as you're here in your clip towards the top, that's where you have the cursor. And again, if I click and drag, I would actually be using the selector tool like this. If I go towards the bottom, notice it will turn into a hand, and that's the grabber tool. Grabber tool, if I click, you'll see it grabs the whole clip, and now if I want to move it back and forth, I can. So that's the grabber. And then that trimmer tool, so the trimmer tool happens at the beginning of a clip, and you have to go here to the edge. You can trim it away, but it also happens at the end of that clip. So if you go to the right-hand side, you get that sideways bracket, click and drag, and you can cut stuff away if you want. So for example, this music bed that we're going to be using, it's only supposed to be about 30 seconds long. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim it to 30, which is right here. And I'm just doing this very kind of casually. I let go, and now I've got a 30-second clip. If you trim it and you're like, oh no, I trimmed too far, I trimmed not enough, you can always click again with that trimmer tool, and you can always bring it all back, right? So it's never gone because it's not destructive editing. So if you cut it away, you can always untrim it, and it's always there. All right, so I just went to 30 seconds. I clicked off of it. I hit the return key back to the beginning, and now I can play that bed. All right, I think that's as far as you need to go. So what you're going to do now is just to give me proof that you were able to import this in, is you're going to go ahead and screenshot this window right here. So screenshot the window. If you can get all 30 seconds to fit on one page, that would be great. Like what I'll do is I'll do a double click on that magnifier glass, and that's a shortcut to basically zoom it out enough so that the whole thing fits on one page. Notice if I scroll now, it's not there, right? Because that's my exact 30-second. So just to double click with the magnifying glass is a quick way to zoom you out so everything can be on one page. Now I'm ready to do a screenshot, and for the Mac, it's simply Shift Command 3, and that will take a picture, and then that file is now on my desktop. Let me see if I can get to it here. There it is. It's right here. You see it? And so that's what I'll upload to Canvas in order to get credit for this lab number 1. There'll also be a couple questions for you to answer. All right. So just remember, this was for the Mac. This was importing audio from my computer that had already been downloaded from Canvas, importing into a brand new Pro Tools session. Talked to you about the tools. I talked to you about the edit modes. I gave you a couple shortcuts. I showed you how to import the audio. So you have to change the playback engine. And then I gave you at the very end a way to do your screenshot of the window. And then once you have that, you'll go ahead and take that image and upload it onto Canvas, lab number 2. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line. Also, remember Command S is save, and you'll want to do that anytime you're going to get ready to quit. Just Command Q. And make sure you remember where you've saved it.